Good evening all, WildWeather here for LiveWeatherBlogs.com, and a little bit more optimism tonight, considering what I'm seeing on the current maps, some water vapor maps, and trying to connect it here a little bit to the ensemble forecast of the AO, NEO, and PNA, and perhaps things are starting to shake up a little bit, which is good going into February here as we look and search for the possibility of snow and cold. Uh, this evening, everybody, the cold air once again is trying to envelop the midsection of the country. Now, for the first time that I can remember this year, it's now below zero into the United States, from Montana over into North Dakota and Minnesota. This is a great sign because I'm going to go up north of the border here in a moment to show you a few things that I'm getting a little bit more excited about in terms of the robust and the nature of the cold air that is starting to enter the United States. Case in point, just 24 hours ago, a little over 24 hours ago, say about 27 hours ago, St. Louis, Missouri was 68 degrees. Well, 27 hours later, it's 28 degrees. Why is this significant? Well, the cold air, instead of coming down here and moving in more of a easterly fashion, is more indicative of a zonal flow. Now we're starting to get the idea that the cold air is starting to move a little bit further south and east. Now, also with that said, it also means that the cold air is not deflecting back up into Canada quite as readily as it was before. Does that mean this is a pattern that's going to stay and hold into place? Well, we'll wait and see about that going in the future, but as of right now, I'm liking the ability of the cold air to penetrate further south and east. Earlier down here in Rio, Texas, it was 81 degrees. 81, and then you went 68 here, and the 45 in Dallas. So you can see the cold air is not really getting too far down into Texas, but even this area is chilled down quite a bit, considering where it's been. But again, 81 degrees is indicative of the signs that the sun angle is returning north, and with 81 degrees mixing with below zero temperatures, down the line somewhere, hopefully, February, we're going to look for the big storms to occur coming off the subtropical southern jet. Now, you remember, along the East Coast, everyone, you got to remember, it's kind of like a catch-22 we play on the East Coast, where you want the warmth to fuel the bigger storms because you need a temperature gradient. So you're kind of playing with fire, if you would, if you like snow, minus the irony. Remember, you get your biggest storms when you got the warmth and the cold, and you get that temperature gradient. When you get that temperature gradient across this area is where you get your biggest snows. And as we head into February, I'm hoping that this below zero air that we're seeing entering the United States, I'm hoping that this kind of air mass, now it may not be quite as cold, but can mix with one of these warmer air masses here, and we get the big storm that we've been looking for coming up into February. Now let's go north of the border here. Before we go north of the border, let's take a look at the AO. Right? The AO, the ensembles, and the trend's been going negative, and it's continuing to step down, and now almost all model ensembles like to come further to the negative side. So we'll keep an eye on this, just an indication, but we're going to take a look at some things currently going on up to the north that I like, and I've been watching the cold air up there shift around basically for the last 3 months. So we've seen a negative trend in the AO before. We'll see if it has staying power, but as you can see, most of the members are in fact indeed negative, whereas before they were in fact positive. So the trend is our friend, so we'll see what happens. The NEO, well, the NEO is the big player for me. In order to get that East Coast snowstorm, we want this NEO to be negative. And once again, most of the ensemble members, again, are trying to go negative. But as you can see, the trend is our friend, and it has been trending negative. And this is the case. We need to get this to stay negative or hang around that area from neutral and -1, at least, to get a significant snowstorm. PNA has been, generally straddling positive, and then came negative. Now we're poking up again. We'll look at this down the road and positive a little bit. So let's go to some currents. All right, let's go to this is Intellicast.com. Here's your cold front, folks. Thunderstorms. Wow. January the 17th, and we had a significant line of thunderstorms where it was just snowing 24 hours ago, mind you. It was snowing out here in State College 24 hours ago. But here comes a line of thunderstorms, all weakening on approach to the east. But you get the idea the cold air is really sweeping in here. It was 54 degrees a couple hours ago in Chicago, in Pittsburgh. You can clearly see the cold air is rushing across the Great Lakes here and coming into the east. Sorry about that. Most of this precipitation down here will stay this south of us. Maybe we get a shower in the Philadelphia area from the cold frontal passage later on tonight, probably after midnight at this point, but not much. Maybe a few snow flurries will show up and snow showers. Harrisburg, State College toward Allentown and Poconos. I don't see this getting down in the Philadelphia area, but you can see some idea that there is a little bit more action here. We'll see if that swings over and see how it gets over the mountains. Here's a warm frontal passage here moving north through your overrunning snows going through much of Maine. So, and out west we got a wintertime storm hitting Seattle. Here's where your winter is beginning to take shape, and if you draw a line basically where I'm drawing here going toward the weekend, we'll see where the cold air wants to hang on, and if it hangs on long enough after our clipper on Thursday, maybe we can get some snow up in here on Saturday. I think that the models will have a hard time dealing with below zero temperatures up here and seeing how quickly it retreats before the storm comes up off the subtropical jet. So we'll see what happens. Let's go back to the currents. I'm going to go up north to Alaska. 42 degrees below zero, but I like to see this over here. It's 44 degrees below zero in this area, and this area it was a lot warmer than this a couple of weeks ago. So 44 below there. Now we go back to Canada. This is where it gets, for me anyway, the most interesting. This area of Canada, Alberta, Canada, Calgary, Edmonton area, 30s, 40s, God, all through November, December, it was 34, 35, 38. Every night I look up here. But look what we got now. 22 to 26 degrees below zero right now up here in Alberta. I like that. You get the idea that the cold air is sneaking down here from Alaska this way and moving into the United States now. It's something we haven't seen all year because the flow has been off of the Pacific. So flow off the Pacific seems to be relaxing a little bit. This is a temporary thing. We shall see. Now all below zero all across Hudson Bay. I like to see that. And look at this up here. It's now warmer up here in the northern tier of Canada than it is in the southern tier. So you get the idea that the cold air up here is being displaced further south, and you like to see that if you want this cold air to come into the United States. Now this is all outside of the models, outside of the ensembles AO, NAO, and PNA, but you can clearly see it. The cold air is trying to make inroads. And now where you go from here. Let's take a look at the water vapor map. Last 24-hour loop. And we try to trace to see where things are going here. Let me load this up for you here. Here we go. Get an idea. It's a general southwesterly flow here. Is it going to go into motion for me? It doesn't look like it. But you get an idea. It's a southwesterly flow here along the subtropical jet. And you can see this piece here really branching off the subtropical jet here and moving up this way. Sorry, it's not moving very well here for me tonight. But get the idea that the cold air is coming down in this general area. So if you want to do a little arrow here, the cold air is coming down, sweeping down, and it'll go up. Back up to the northeast again. Where that's going to turn and where that happens will help determine what's going to happen here on Saturday. But I like seeing the temperatures going from 68 to 28, and those dramatic changes that you like to see as you head into February. You get those dramatic changes along strong frontal boundaries with a strong thermal gradient, and you get a subtropical jet that's pretty active. Hey, you know what? Maybe having a large snowstorm in February isn't all that far-fetched after all. And after all, it's what I'm basically thinking is going to happen. I think that we see our snow basically, if it's going to happen, I think it happens in one storm, or maybe two rather moderate to large storms. But I like our chances for snow going into February. I do see the cold air coming down, and Rob pointed this out as well. Cold air is coming down, and it is now finally Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota. It's finally below zero, which is what you'd like to see in January, and it's well below zero in the prairies in the central and south central Canada. This is where the cold air comes from. It comes from here first, and it moves to the southeast, to the east coast, to perhaps, potentially, get us our big snowstorms come in February. Keep up the hope, everyone. I'm feeling a little bit more confident that maybe we get some snow in here come February. There is some latitude blocking showing up on some of the models up near Greenland, so we need that NEO. We need that NEO to go negative. We need to get that flow here that's going to hold the storms coming up, hold the cold air in place, number one. We hold the cold air in place on a somewhat of a west-northwesterly or northwesterly flow aloft, and then the storm comes up. Give us our overrunning, develops a storm, and dumps some more more snow onto us. So this is what we look for. So we look for that big storm coming up in February. That's all I have for tonight. Take care. This is Wild Weather for LiveWeatherBlogs.com.